Hi, everybody. I'm here today with Rachel Berggren, our Fund Development Coordinator, and Mary Eggers, a longtime Shalomer, faithful friend. And this is part of our series talking to our faithful friends community, and just hearing from them, their stories, their participation in this really important program. So, Mary, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to talk to us.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking me.
Absolutely, absolutely. You were also, I'm gonna just t date this video, but you were also featured as the creative expression in last month's newsletter. So I'm overjoyed that we get to have
Thanks.
a double feature. So my first question is just, I'm sure we all want to know, how did you get to Shalom? What's your Shalom story?
Well, I think Robert Close sent more people to Shalom than anybody else. And I was one of the first. Actually, he told me that I was the first. And I had a little mini crisis of my own. And I went to him. He was the minister at the church. And, you know, he brought Shalom to his ministry. And so I went to him the next morning after this little mini crisis where I thought I was the most worthless person on the planet and said, "Tell me about this place." He had been talking about it. And he gave me the phone number, and I called the next day and signed up for a retreat. I didn't know what I was doing, I didn't know what this meant. I called him and said, "I did it." And he said, "Okay, don't go first. I'll give you advice. Don't go first, and take Monday off from work. You'll need it." Well, I had screamed so much that I needed 2 days off from work. And
Relatable.
I knew there was something different because when I went back to work, I was standing in our little kitchenette area in the building, and a man came up to me that I knew, and we started to chat. And he said, "What's wrong with you? You seem so happy." And my first thought was, I think there's something wrong with his question.
Hmm.
So there was something that other people were picking up.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
absolutely. That's awesome.
and Robert and I are still close friends.
That's great.
Mm. So
So
our next question is really just knowing some of your history. When the mountain became a nonprofit, we know that you played an integral role in helping develop some of the fund development plans that still exist to this day, like Faithful Friends program and the Forever Friends. So we're just
right.
wondering if you would speak a little bit about that and tell us why that was so important and how those got founded at the time.
Well, Faithful Friends was Judy Weiss's idea, and Judy and Ken were major players on the board of Friends of Shalom Mountain. This was before it was a nonprofit.
Mm.
And So that was Judy's idea, and it was a great one. And Forever Friends came about because of an organization that I had as a client in Arizona, Best Friends Animal Sanctuary, and they had a fund development department. And because of the consulting work I was doing with them, I learned a little bit about that. And I came back to the board and I said, I don't know, I must have been in my 50s then. I don't know how long Forever Friends has been around, but whatever age I was old enough to have estate planning. And I said, and everybody on the board we were all about the same age. I said, do each of you have friends, Shalom, in your estate planning? And some said yes, some said no. And then what I learned from having a client that had a fund development is that the people that are on the board, if they're not giving, then they shouldn't be on the board.
Mm.
Mm.
And I don't mean that it's just the money we're after, but they got to put the money where their heart is.
Mm.
And so Forever Friends came about because of my work with that organization. and Craig Hopkins wanted to call it the Dead Donors Society. But the board got a good laugh out of that. And Craig wasn't serious, but he kept us laughing no matter what the topic was. So,
That's
Beautiful.
anyway,
that's great. Well, we are so appreciative now, however many years later, that this is a mature program
yeah,
and it helps every day to sustain Shalom Mountain.
yeah.
And my final question, I wonder if you could share, so you're a faithful friend. What does that mean to you? What is the meaning of being a monthly donor?
Well, I think I've already said this, but it means putting my actions where my heart is. And
Mm,
I wouldn't be the person that I am today. There are two things in my life that are the reason I'm the person I am today. One is Shalom, and the other is a mentor that I had for quite a number of years. And but I say to friends, I left a lot of my baggage on the mountain,
mm,
and I'm much lighter and much better for having done that.
mm,
So I, I have had experiences in my life since those first days. And at the beginning, I jumped into everything. I did every work weekend. I did all the celebrations. I did yada, yada, yada. I remember getting in the car with a friend. This is a little side story, to drive to a work weekend. And as we were putting things in the trunk, we uh, looked down and there was a quarter on the ground. So we picked it up. And my friend was Jenny, had a good sense of humor. And she said, "You know what finding money means?" And I said, "What?" "You're going to have sex." And it was like a dime or a quarter. And I said, "I'm going to have a dime's worth." So, and the work weekend was much more than a dime's worth of anything. It was
mm,
they were fabulous experiences.
Hmm. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so
I mean,
anyway,
I think that's something we can all relate to is whatever time we've put into Shalom Mountain, we've gotten
oh
it
my
back
God.
tenfold.
so
Yes,
much more.
I didn't want to be on a board, but I couldn't say no because Shalom had given me so much.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well,
Yeah, and
thank
I feel like so many of the faithful friends, it's exactly that. It's like, what can I give to help make sure other people can have this experience too?
Exactly.
Right? It's like
Exactly.
even like down to the smallest amount, $5 a month, it just changes everything to have the community show up and support this place that has changed all of our lives. It really is
Yes.
like a
Yes.
home that we get to steward.
Mhm.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
So thank you for being one of our stewards for in all the ways that you were on the board and you helped establish these programs and now how you give monthly and it really means a lot. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Mary.
And I want to thank all the three of us for hanging in with all well, we can't do that date and we can't do that. And we've been, all over the place. And here we are.
Yes,
So,
exactly. To talk about
so
Shalom together. Thank you.
yes.
It worked out perfectly.
Thank you so much. Thanks for what you're doing. And thank you.